G'day YouTube. So I recently did a video where I reviewed the new Chieftain on the PowerPlus platform, and I made a mistake. So I thought I'd better film a quick video to explain what I made a mistake, and it wasn't intentional. I did some research on this and still got it wrong. But why it's important, and just kind of update you a little bit on what I found out since doing the review. I won't string out forever. The mistake I made was actually about the ride height of the Chieftain. It sits a little bit lower than I thought it did. So check this out and we'll explain why. Welcome to Drop Down Moto. My name's Richard. So this is an interesting one because I did do some proper research, as I mentioned, before doing the reviews on these motorcycles, and I was lucky enough to really test them. As soon as Indian of Palm Bay got them into stock, they let me come down and have a ride. So first chance I'd gotten to do that, and so I really wanted to do it justice, do the right review. Hopped online, got as much information I could about the motorcycle. So I drew the conclusion that this is pretty much the Challenger body with a fork-mounted fairing instead of the fixed frame fairing that the Challenger has, which is a great option for those that do prefer the fork-mounted fairing. And from there I sort of did the review carried out by Normal, and we spoke a little bit about the ride height. But I will say that when I jumped online, if you look online, Indian lists the ride height for both the Challenger and the Chieftain at a seat height of about 26.5 inches. Total height I think is the same, about 48.7 inches. So that was interesting because they're not. I should have known this first of all when we went for a ride on the Chieftain. I actually took a Roadmaster out for a ride, and when I did that I scraped the pegs. First real corner I get to go. Oh wow. Oh, okay. The lean angle's not massive. So I should have guessed it right away, but my Challenger's actually been lifted, so I wasn't comparing apples with apples, and kind of thought, wow, I didn't think it was this low, but it is lower. The only other piece I'll say is that there is a weight difference between the two, obviously. I'll flick the stats up here, but basically when you compare the weight of the Dark Horse or limited models, we're looking at a difference. I think it's about somewhere about 10 pounds heavier that the Challenger is over the Chieftain, obviously with that smaller fairing. So it does overall have a lower weight across the bike, and obviously you notice that too. So that adds to the overall feeling that it's a lower sort of bike, and that it's got a lower center of gravity. What made a difference was when we got to Daytona Bike Week, Mrs. DBM, my wife, actually went for a ride on the Chieftain, and she'd ridden a Challenger before, and she commented it is much lower. So we actually checked with some of the staff at Indian Daytona, went back to Indian and Palm Bay and spoke to the guys on the ride truck, and they all said yes, the Chieftain and the Roadmaster definitely have a lower ride height than the Challenger. So that's a big reveal. Not a major one, but I just wanted to clarify because we did make a bit of deal in the first video. Mrs. DBM went from the Indian platform, from the old Chieftain, which had a lower ride height, and that's why the dealers said, and the people on the test ride said that's what they wanted to do, is that had a lower ride height. India wanted to match that, so that's why they lowered it a little bit on the Chieftain platform. Mrs. DBM had a Chieftain. She decided to go a fixed frame fairing bike, and that's when she actually jumped to Harley Davidson. So there's a bunch of videos on that on the channel. And the big reason was the 2024 road glides and street glides actually have a lower center of gravity, I guess I'd call it, in that the weight feels lower in the motorcycle. This only matters obviously when you're in parking lots, when you're doing low speed maneuvers, but she just felt a little bit more comfortable on that platform than she did on the Challenger. So when we were doing the review, I mentioned that did we make a bad decision, should she have waited for the Chieftain? I did say there no, because it was the same platform, which it isn't, so I stand corrected. It is a lower motorcycle, and she could have easily ridden the new Chieftain or Roadmaster. The big thing though that she did want out of the platform was a fixed frame fairing bike for the long distance we do, and that extra stability at high speeds freeway across the country. So we don't regret the decision. She did make that move for that reason. The Challenger is still the same seat height that it always was. It's just the Chieftain is lower, despite what you'll read on the internet. Look, it would be interesting to see if they make a change to Challenger at some point and drop the Challenger down. The only reason I say that is it is quite a tall bike, and when you actually look at the two together, I think the seat height is similar between the two motorcycles, the 24 Harley Davidsons, I should say, or 25 now, and the Challenger have a similar ride height. What's different though is when you look at the bikes next to each other, you see the way the tank kind of comes up quite aggressively on the Challenger and Chieftain platform, whereas it's kind of a lot more even keeled, I guess, with the Road Glide and Street Glide. I'll try and get a bit of footage of my two motorcycles or our motorcycles and put that over the top so you can actually see what I'm talking about. But particularly when the tank's full, you just get a lower center of gravity, and you do get that, as I say, if you're backing the motorcycle up with your feet, particularly if you're on a bit of gravel, if you're on a hill, it just makes that a little bit easier with the lower center of gravity. So that was the only piece. But it is better on the Chieftain than it is on the Challenger. Not that you'll see that on the website. So, upshot of all this is, if you're interested in a Chieftain and you are a little bit vertically challenged, get out and ride it. You'll definitely find that that Chieftain is a lower motorcycle and does have a lower center of gravity than the Challenger. It's a great platform. Anyone that watches this channel knows I'm a huge fan of the Challenger and Chieftain, of that PowerPlus platform. Obviously, I don't have that challenge being a little bit taller, but it's a great platform and it really suits taller riders, to be honest. I love the size of the bike, and I find the Road Glide, Street Glide's pretty small. So that's why I stuck with my Challenger. And a quick plug, if you have watched this and you like this video, please give it a like. If you're not subscribed to the channel, this sort of content's up your alley, give us a subscribe to it. It really does help the channel. Appreciate you letting me clarify that. Hopefully this was helpful if you're looking for a motorcycle, particularly obviously the Chieftain. We saw in one of our videos interviewed a friend of ours, Eric, who bought one at Bike Week and is absolutely loving that thing. So thoroughly recommend the bike still, and yeah, check out that seat difference for yourself at a demo truck near you. Get out on a test ride. Thanks for watching. Ride safe.